All right, this is the last of the ice examples for the notes for today. So this is going to be a new reaction. So now we have hydrogen gas plus iodine gas forms hydrogen iodide. And notice that the units that they're giving us for these are in ATM, which is a unit of pressure. So if temperature and volume are constant, then the pressure is directly proportional to the number of moles. And so you can use the pressures in place of the concentrations or in place of the moles when you're doing K or Q. And so they gave us K. We can go ahead and write that out. And this time we're doing pressures, and the way that they show pressures are with a capital P, and then the subscript is the chemical you're talking about. And that one needs to be squared because it has a coefficient of 2. And in this case, we have initial pressures of all 3 of our components, and so we can't assume that it shifts towards the 0 because we don't have a 0. So we do need to go ahead and calculate Q, and Q is calculated the same way as K. So we're going to do the pressure of HI squared over the pressure of H2 times the pressure of I2. And they gave us these pressures in the question. And we can plug that into the calculator to see that Q is equal to 5 times 10 to the third. So this is about 5,000. Kp was about 100, 1 times 10 squared. So we're comparing this number to this number. And we can see that Q is much larger than K. When Q is greater than K, the reactants are favored. And that means that the reaction is shifting to the left. So now we can go ahead and write out our icebox. Again, I stands for the initial amount, C stands for the change, and E stands for the amount that you're going to have at equilibrium. We have initial pressures for all 3 of these. And this time we're shifting left, so we're going to add x to these sides, to these 2, and we're going to take away x here, and don't forget to bring coefficients down in front of the x. So HI has a 2 coefficient, so x needs to also have a 2 coefficient. And now we have our equilibrium amounts with the x is in there still. And so now we can use Kp to set up our equation. It's a -1. Just don't forget to square the top part of this. Whew, and there we have our huge algebra equation. And it's going to take some work to solve for x. So again, just like before, see if you can go ahead and rearrange this equation. I can work through the math during the live session for you. if you need it, but I want you to go ahead and try to do the algebra to get the quadratic equation. And if you solve it correctly, so pause the video now and try it yourself, and then check. If you solve it correctly, you should get 9.6 times 10 to the first, and that's your x squared. So that'll be a in your quadratic. Don't forget to set it equal to 0. And now you can see that we have our a, this is going to be b, and this is going to be c. So plug it into the quadratic formula, just in case you forgot what it is. And again, you're going to get two different amounts, because once you're going to solve it with the plus sign on the top, and then another time you'll solve it with the negative on the top. And if you solve this correctly, you should end up with two values for x. So x could equal 0.0355 or negative 0.072. We're not going to get a negative for change, so we're changing it by some amount, so you're not going to change it negatively. So we know that's not the answer, and so now we know what x is going to be. And so now we can plug that number back into our variables up here. So number 0.0355. And when you plug that into, you're going to plug it into all three places. So here, here, and here. And that will give you your equilibrium amounts. Nope, that was not pH 2. And those are the three answers for this question. So as you can see, these problems are going to take some time to solve. All of them took about 7 to 10 minutes to solve each one. So make sure you carve out some time for yourself to work on the progress check, to try some of these yourself to see if you can set them up. And we will go over lots of these during the live session as well.